everybody, my name is Eros Greatti. Today I'm bringing you an interview with one of my favorite Canadians, Mr. Marc Garneau. And the reason for that is that I wanted to bring to you a different aspect of what politics is like. This man has gone from astronaut to politician, and I wanted to understand and actually bring to you the possibility of bringing culture in a very different way and the right to wear different hats. I think that's really quite powerful. So please stay tuned, enjoy the interview, and to read the full article, don't forget to visit my blog at erosgreatti.blogspot.com. You were an astronaut, and now you're a politician. Why the transition?
I made the transition because I care deeply about where our country is going in terms of policy for science and technology, because I think they're very important for the future prosperity of the country. And I felt that if I became a politician, I would have the opportunity to influence that policy.
Now, you say that because you were an astronaut, you were able to work for the Canadian Space Agency, which was a governmental office, and that gave you the foot in the door to get involved into politics, right?
That's exactly it. When I became president of the Canadian Space Agency, I began to interface a lot with politicians and with civil servants in Ottawa, and I realized that that's where the big decisions are made. And to become a politician, if you become government, you have a chance to actually influence the direction in which the country is going.
Children love astronauts. That there's no question about it. Having met a child that does not like the stars and the moons, and even use that as part of the design in their rooms, if I can relate that to my job. Parents are the ones who vote. How does a child get influenced or inspired by your work and convey that message to their parents who might be environmentalists, which is something that you also have a lot of say for? How's that happen?
Well, I think that, I like to think of the example of the campaign against smoking that occurred when I had younger children, and I can remember them beginning to be educated in the school about, and on television and elsewhere, about the dangers of smoking, and then coming back and telling their parents, who in some cases smoked, that it was very bad for them to smoke and they were going to get sick and they were going to die. And in that case, children actually put pressure on the parents, and I think that it had a major influence in a positive way.
You say that from the time that your exploration took place in 1984 to today, the world has really changed.
It has. I think that it's remarkable. When I was born, there were only 2 billion people on the planet. There's 7 billion today. That is a remarkable increase, and industrialization is occurring in emerging countries at an incredible rate. People talk about how there's a new coal-fired generating station, electricity generating station, that starts up in China once every 10 days. I've flown over China. You can't see it. There's so much pollution coming out of its factories, and it's also at the same time grappling with the requirement to take care of its environment, so it's focusing on other forms of energy. But the world has changed dramatically in between my first space flight in '84 and my last one 16 years later in 2000.
I immigrated to Canada, I have to say, 20 years ago in 1 week. So in those 20 years in 1 week, a lot of changes have happened in Canada. And I think Canada has always portrayed itself as being the land of welcoming and a green place to live. But being inside of the country, I know that there's a lot of work that we need to do, and that Canada perhaps is not as green as we love to think it is. We think of that concept, and I always think that it's the people who live in British Columbia that could probably say that they are the greenest. Maybe they are not. What is happening in Canada?
Well, I think that there are places where the concern about the environment is greater than in other parts of the country. Hopefully we will all share in a common objective with respect to the environment. I think it's important for Canada to take a leadership role, because if you're going to encourage other countries to take care of their environment, you have to show it by example. And with the current government, there's been 4 years since they've been in power. They've had 3 ministers of the environment. They've talked about an objective, which is to reduce greenhouse gases by 20% by 2020, below 2006 levels, but they haven't given us a plan. there is no plan in place to do it. So Canada was voted the fossil country at the recent Barcelona talks that are leading up to the Copenhagen conference that's going to occur in a couple of weeks. Canada needs to not only talk about the environment, it needs to show that it has plans in place. So yes, there's been a lack of leadership in Canada.
From astronaut to politician, from interior designer to interviewer, for somebody who's allowed to wear different hats, what do you say to them?
I welcome and encourage people to wear different hats. I think that, I have to say I started my career in the Navy. I then became an astronaut, and today I'm a politician. We go through transitions in our life. I think that's something that is a fact of life, and I think that it enriches us personally, and it's something that should be encouraged. I don't think we should encourage people or tell people once you start off in something, you stay there.
I so agree with you. I think a change is very important. Your bill in Ottawa is a bill that defends the right of children, and why is that?
Well, I was very touched by a resident from Westmount Ville-Marie from the riding who said that we as a country ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which dates from 1990, and yet we don't have, and there are about 60 countries that do have one, a commissioner for children, and that we should have one. And so I decided that that would be my project to bring forward as a private member's bill, because I think that children, and that's anybody from birth to 18 years of age until you have the right to vote, have no voice. And yes, there are organizations that look after the rights of children, but we don't have a conscience, a national conscience that says, are we taking care of our children? Whether it has to do with health, education, protecting their rights from being exploited. Sexual exploitation is a case in point. Are we looking after our children who have no voice? And I think it would be a good thing to have somebody at the federal level that looks after the children of our country, because they are the future, and we need to get them off to a good start.
The first time I heard about you, that I had the opportunity to come and see you and meet with you, it was in a town hall meeting that you were hosting. I do not know of any other politician who actually hosts town hall meetings for the population to come and ask questions and actually be part of the political system. Maybe there are some, I just don't know about them. I've never seen that anywhere. Why are you doing that?
Well, I think that it's the essence of democracy. If you are elected, you are accountable, and so you have to be there when people want to talk to you. People can come to my office here, but people also like to go to this kind of a forum, a town hall, which is very popular, and ask their questions and get, or maybe just make comments, and have that accountability, that rapport with their politician. I think there are other MPs that do this. I don't know how common it is.
I don't think it's very common, because I just never heard of it, and I'm a little bit of a person who's everywhere. When I told my friends that I actually had gone to the town hall meeting, they were very envious that I had the opportunity to meet you, because you are a very popular guy and you are a likable guy.
Thank you.
But why are you so likable?
That's a tough one for me to answer.
It's always hard for somebody to talk about themselves in that sort of light, but the truth is that you are popular and you are likable, and I think one of that is that you come across as being very honest and approachable. But how can people actually feel that when they talk to you, they're not talking to the politician? It's always a cold front, when you reach someone who's in power, and you are now more than ever in a very powerful position, and yet people can stop you, like I have many times in a coffee shop, just to say hello. And I think that in itself is admirable.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I personally take it as the biggest compliment that I can get if people say you're an honest person, because I know that the image of politicians is tarnished. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to be in politics is to show people that there are actually some honest people in the profession, and I know quite a few of them, and but I know that that's not always how we're portrayed.
Thank you, Mr. Garneau. You're a
My
very
pleasure.
cool man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was it, everybody. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you the next time. Take care.